Welcome back, Mr. Cotter. Look at us, we're here. That's a John Travolta TV show that I am too young to have ever seen. Welcome, everyone. Hello, you're here. We're watching Groot and me. I'm Carson Higgins. We're doing a Film Club. Have you never been here before? Oh my God. I'm so glad you made it. And for everybody that's here, welcome back. We watch a movie a week, and it's very much like a book club. I feel like Reese Witherspoon, and I pick a movie a week. You watch it at your leisure, and we do one of these at the end of the week. And feel free to let me know what you thought of the film. That's usually how this is always going to go, so I'm glad you're here. We watched another amazing movie this week. I was tasked by one of our members to find a film that was like a early romantic comedy, something that really kind of laid the groundwork for what we know and love today. So I was digging through some of the things on the Criterion Channel, some of the things that were leaving at the end of the month, and I noticed that all of the Preston Sturges movies were leaving at the end of the month. So for our pick this week, we watched the 1941 absolute classic, The Lady Eve. Yes, Lady Eve is so good. And Barbara Stanwyck, holy cow. Henry Fonda, holy cow. And Preston Sturges. We're going to go back a little bit. So, if you've never seen one of his films before, he's a very well-known writer-director. He kind of specialized in making risque adult romantic comedies, you know? They get called screwball comedies from time to time. He's in that same vein as, like, Howard Hawks. There's a couple of these guys from, like, late 30s, 40s, who were putting these kind of movies out. But Preston Sturges had this incredible run. He made 7 films in 4 years, which is just absolutely bananas. You shouldn't do that. For your heart, you shouldn't do that. But thank God he did, because I have only seen 2 of these films. The other being Sullivan's Travels, which, if you've never seen Sullivan's Travels before, fun fact real quick, it is on the AFI Top 100 Films of All Time. It is where the title, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, comes from. Fun fact, the film in Sullivan's Travels that our main character is trying to go make is a film called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And spoiler alert, that film never gets made. So when the Coen brothers made it in 2000 with George Clooney, it was a whole lot of fun. Anyway, Sullivan's Travels and The Lady Eve both came out in 1941. But he started out with The Great McGinty in 1940, Christmas in July, The Lady Eve, Sullivan's Travels, Palm Beach Story, Miracle of Morgan's Creek, and Hail the Conquering Hero. This guy churned them out, okay? His name was the star, basically. It was like the new Preston Sturges movie is here, so everybody kind of was down to go see it. He was very much a 1940s John Hughes, right? John Hughes in the 80s was just like banging out these teen rom-coms, and this was like for, 30-somethings in the 40s. It was very classy and yet very risque guy. I mean, The Lady Eve is just dripping with like sexual innuendo, and it's so good. It's so funny, and it is kind of one of those miracles where it's like, how did you get around the Hays Code? But it was all just done very cleverly. I will say, this movie's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, so the critics don't hate it. It has a 96 on Metacritic, if that's more your scene. But yeah, it got nominated for 1 Academy Award for Best Screenplay. Did not win. 1941 was a pretty solid year for movies. Citizen Kane came out that year. Maltese Falcon came out that year. How Green Was My Valley came out that year. Fucking Dumbo came out that year. Okay, it was a good year for movies, and 2 of them are Preston Sturges classics. So we're already in good company. But yeah, I didn't know that Barbara Stanwyck was such a fucking hottie. Turns out, you can't. I was like getting sweaty watching the movie. I was just like, you are so seductive and so charming and wonderful and hilarious. Henry Fonda, too, is very attractive gentleman in that white tuxedo. And though he is pretty square and bumbly in this movie, you can't deny that he's this handsome movie star who also doesn't do a whole lot of comedy, but is very funny in this movie. He's falling down all the time, which played excellently to me. I laughed out loud at a couple of his falls. But yeah, man, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I'd always heard of the Lady Eve. I saw Sullivan's Travels, 20 years ago almost, when I was trying to crush the AFI 100 films list. So I watched that many moons ago, and I revisited it because I was excited about the Lady Eve. And it sucked me right in again. And it just proved what I found in the Lady Eve to be true, and something that's true about Sullivan's Travels. And I'm sure when I watch the Palm Beach Story and, the Miracle at Morgan's Creek, I'm going to feel the same way. But where it's just these, I forgot what I was saying. Timelessness. God, okay. It's the thing that I realized in watching both these films, is that they both hold up so well. And so that's what I was saying, is that I'm sure I'll feel that way when I watch the other films of his that I haven't seen. But Sullivan's Travels sucked me right in. I have to finish it before it leaves the Criterion Channel. But yeah, these two stars in this movie, I was talking about how pretty they are, but also they are damn fine actors. And I knew that, but it's nice to be reminded. And it's nice to see that, a 70-odd-year-old movie is like still just grabs you immediately, right? And kind of makes you do this a little bit. There's this classic scene. It's this two-shot of the two of them. They're like because they're on a cruise ship. That doesn't matter. But they're in the room, and they're like cheek to cheek, right? And it's this very long take of the two of them. And you almost kind of like forget what they're talking about every once in a while, because you just keep thinking they're like about to kiss or something. And it's just, Barbara Stanwyck's got him wrapped around her little finger and is just being so hot, man. And Edith Head's got her in these killer costumes. Sidebar, Edith Head is the costume designer of the stars. She is the most celebrated woman the Academy has ever had. She's an 8-time Academy Award winner, 35-time nominee. 5 decades of work. This lady's an icon. But Edith Head put Barbara Stanwyck in these costumes, man, that really were wrecking my whole evening in a good way. She's got this, I hardly call it a shirt, but she's got this shirt on the whole time that she's playing with Henry Fonda in the cruise ship and everything. It's got one button right here and a lot of skin showing, and I'm just like, man, Barbara Stanwyck, you are so hot. And then that white dress that she shows up in when she is Lady Eve, because, all right, let's get into the story a little bit before I get too off track here. Henry Fonda plays a snake scientist. I forget exactly what they're called, but he's been up the Amazon for a year studying snakes. Barbara Stanwyck is with her grifter dad, and they are card sharks. They're on this cruise ship. They're trying to find the richest guy to, snake his money. And she feasts her eyes on Henry Fonda, who is also like the talk of the ship. Everybody's trying to bang this guy. Or marry this guy, sorry. But yeah, right when she finds out about him, she's like, oh my God, is she rich? Oh, there he is. I'm going to drop an apple on his head. Drops an apple on his head. So immediately we're just kind of like in Looney Tunes territory. But maybe the best scene in the whole thing, one of the best scenes of the whole thing, is her play-by-play with this hand mirror. She's got her little hand mirror up, and it's a brilliantly put together shot where it's like she's holding up the mirror and you're seeing Henry Fonda and these women like try to get his attention, and she's kind of giving a play-by-play that leads all the way to him coming by her and her tripping him and then being like, whoa man, you broke my shoe, now you got to take me to my room so I can change my shoes, and boom, we're already under her control. But that whole scene is just like so well put together, and also a really nice kind of gender reversal. I feel like if this movie were to be made by anybody else, Barbara Stanwyck's character would have been the male, and it would have been like some rich heiress is Henry Fonda's character. And we've just seen that version a million times, even since 1941. So it's kind of cool that all the way back then, Preston Sturges was flipping it on its head and making, Henry Fonda kind of the dim ingenue, and Barbara Stanwyck is the one with all the brains. Yeah. Some killer side characters in this movie, too. Turns out, Preston Sturges liked to use a lot of the same people. So a lot of the faces that you see in this film, you're going to see in some of his others. One of the ones that popped up to me was, I don't know about you, I've been watching the Marx Brothers ever since they put them up on the Criterion Channel, and I forget which film it is, if it's Duck Soup or Day at the Races or Night at the Opera or whatever, I don't remember. But there's this guy, he's kind of a bigger, British sounding, I don't know if he actually is British, butler guy. And so he comes out in The Lady Eve, and I was like, oh my God, it's the guy from that Marx Brothers movie. And then I throw on Sullivan's Travels, and he's got like this great speech as the butler right at the beginning of that movie, and I'm like, here he is again. So it was kind of cool that this guy was just the butler in all the Paramount pictures back in the day. But yeah, that hand mirror sequence is astounding. And then the cheek-to-cheek scene that is like an unbroken take for 3.5 minutes or whatever is beautiful. The cartoon title sequence with the little snake. Did you love that? Because I loved that. I thought it was great. One of the other funniest parts is the horse. If you remember the scene, they're being very romantic. It's a very sweet scene. And he comes up behind her and she's like, oh, stop it. Oh, sorry, I thought you were the horse. And then the horse does kind of creep into the scene and all of a sudden is nuzzling up on them, and it's very clear that both of them are like about to break, but the horse is just perfect in that scene. And some of the dialogue, man, is really like romantic and beautifully written, particularly when they're at like the bow of the ship and got neighbors going by, no big deal. It's Memorial Day weekend, baby, we're having a good time. But yeah, there's a scene on the bow of the ship, and it's very beautiful, and Henry Fonda does this speech about like being little kids holding hands, and there I am in the middle distance trying to, I don't remember all of it, but it is just a really beautiful speech, and he's kind of like, I've always loved you, I'll always love you. And so even though the two of them are like constantly playing each other and backstabbing each other, they do love each other, and so it's nice that they keep finding each other. Of course, there is the whole section of the storyline where he finds out that she's a grifter, so then she is like, all right, you caught me, basically, and he dumps her, and she's heartbroken, and so to get him back, she pretends to be this British lady, Eve, and with no makeup or anything, she just throws on an accent, and all of a sudden, he thinks that she's somebody else. Mind you, he's reminded of the lady from the cruise ship, but she's like, no, that wasn't me, and he just buys it, which is hilarious, because how you not going to recognize her? But it doesn't even bother me, right? It doesn't, like, ruin the story in any way. You're like, yeah, he doesn't recognize her. She's just such a good actress. But yeah, so when they do wind up meeting up again, and she is back to her old self, and she's calling him Hopsy and everything, and now, spoiler alert, it's just very sweet when they end up together. And then it's very hot. It's very clear that they're going to go bang in that room. Even the butler guy, not the butler guy, his like sidekick is like, yep, that's definitely the same dame. It was just really fun, man. Yeah, I loved it. I love Preston Sturges. It's so fun. I want to just continue. I'm going to try to catch a film or two more of his before they leave the channel. I might check out Palm Beach Story. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know at Filmstruck Film Club. Go check it out. Shoot me a comment or send me a message. Let me know what you thought of the film. Let me know if there's something you want to see. Let me know if you're like trying to catch up on old movies. I got the list up for you. It's in my bio on Instagram. It's on the Facebook page. It's on Letterboxd. Just look up Filmstruck Film Club. What we've watched so far, it's going to be right there. But yeah, we'll have another pick for us. Groot and I are very excited to get the summer going. We're going to have a really good time this summer with everybody and watch some really fun things. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for sticking around with us. And yeah, merry film watching. Enjoy your weekend. Mwah.